I remember the day I decided to quit my safe corporate gig and open the Curious Canvas, my very own online boutique for hand-printed artisan tote bags and lifestyle goods. It was a Tuesday, of course it was a Tuesday, and I'd spent the previous weekend holed up in my tiny studio apartment, feverishly refining my first product line, 3 tote designs inspired by vintage botanical illustrations. Each one screen-printed by hand with eco-friendly ink on sturdy organic cotton. By Monday morning, I'd scraped together enough savings to cover my initial inventory and slapped up a simple Shopify page with a grand opening banner. My stomach fluttered like a caged bird every time I previewed that site, wondering if anyone would ever click Add to Cart. When I told my friend Jared about it later that day, over lunch at our usual deli, sandwiches, fries, the works, he smirked and choked on his pickle. An online store? With tote bags? You're quitting your job for this? He waved his hand dismissively. Those things are $10 at Target. No one's gonna pay $30 for a faded flower on a bag. I pressed my lips together. I'd known he'd think I was crazy. These are hand-printed, Jared, ethically sourced. Unique? I tried to keep my voice even, but my hands shook around my iced latte. People care about that stuff. He shook his head. Maybe your mom and her yoga friends. But the real world? It's saturated with artisan junk. Good luck scaling that. I flashed a weak grin and let it drop. I didn't need my so-called best friend raining on my parade. Besides, I had my mom texting daily pep talks and a small but growing list of Instagram followers who'd liked my teaser posts. That counted for something, didn't it? That first week, sales trickled in like a leaky faucet. 1 order here, 2 orders there. Mostly folks who already knew me from Instagram, artists, writers, maybe a yoga instructor or 2. I'd package each tote with care, tissue paper, a handwritten thank you note, even a packet of wildflower seeds tucked inside for new beginnings. I'd run to the post office every afternoon, creative packages in tow. By Friday, I'd shipped out 14 orders. My phone buzzed with every new sale, a tiny thrill in my chest. So I decided to celebrate with my roommate, Zara. We headed to our favorite dive bar, where I downed 2 beers and let the relief wash over me. Zara, blonde pixie cut, studio artist, eternal optimist, raised her glass. To your first 2 weeks in business, and to proving Jared wrong, I laughed, slightly tipsy. In your dreams. She nudged me. You got this. You've always been the type to bet on yourself. She'd seen me juggle side gigs for years, freelance illustration, design, art fair booths, always hustling, always dreaming. Remember that summer you sold your watercolor prints at that farmer's market? You sold out in an hour. I smiled, wincing at the memory, sun beating down, buyers elbow to elbow at my stall, the smell of fresh bread in the air. That had been a rush, yes, but everyone told me that was a fluke. Not a sustainable business model. Zara's eyes gleamed. Let's hype it up. We'll throw a launch party, invite friends, influencers, local bloggers. I can design the invite, get a food truck, maybe a DJ. I hesitated. A party could be a lot of work, and expensive. She shook her head. You're running a brand, not just a side hustle. Parties create buzz. She flagged down the bartender. 2 more beers, please. By Monday morning, influenced by several pints and a gust of bravado, I'd texted half my contact list, designed a colorful digital invite, and booked the courtyard at a hip coffee shop down the street. The owner agreed to host in exchange for a portion of the sales that evening. Zara designed signage, and I ordered branded napkins and stickers. It was a whirlwind. I felt breathless as I hung streamers and set out toasting station supplies. I baked lavender lemon cupcakes at dawn, and Zara whipped up cucumber mint water stations. By 6 p.m., the courtyard looked like a festival. Twinkling lights overhead, a small table stacked with totes, samples of my enamel pins scattered like confetti. As guests trickled in, college friends, local makers, baristas from neighboring shops, I felt my chest budge with pride. People smiled at the designs, asked where I'd printed them. A local lifestyle blogger named May posted an Instagram story. Hostess with the mostest, check out these fab eco totes from the Curious Canvas. I nearly fainted. The highlight, though, was when Jamie Tang arrived, a social media manager for a sustainable fashion startup I'd admired since forever. She breezed up, inspected the totes, and nodded. These are gorgeous. What's your cost per unit? I told her. She scribbled notes, then whipped out her phone. I run micro-influencer collabs. Let me send you a DM about a potential partnership. I nearly tripped over my words. That would be amazing. As the night wound down, I glanced around at the crowd, laughing, sampling cupcakes, clutching totes. I caught Zara's eye. She winked, and I mouthed, "I love you." She lobbed me a plastic cup of sparkling water in response. I realized then that I was standing on the edge of something real. That maybe, just maybe, the gift shop tote bag market wasn't as dead as Jared proclaimed. 2 weeks later, things were rattling along nicely. May's story led to several sales spikes, and Jamie's influencer partnership brought in a few $100s in orders. I could finally pay myself a small stipend from the profits, enough for groceries and rent. My mom called daily to demand updates on revenue, while Zara nagged me to finally give her designer credit on the party flyer. But every success carried with it a tingle of doubt. Was this sustainable? Would people tire of my prints? Would I wake up one day to crickets? Meanwhile, Jared had mostly gone quiet. His digs at my venture had stung, but I'd buried them under more work. New designs, better packaging, more social posts. I'd tell him when I needed a laugh. That changed on a humid Wednesday, when I saw a notification on Instagram. Someone had tagged me in a story. It was from an account I didn't recognize, at City Grind Coffee Mill. I tapped it, ready to scroll past. But the image stopped me cold. Jared leaning casually against a coffee cart, wearing my Fern and Flourish tote slung over his shoulder. He grinned at the camera, and beside him stood a woman I'd never seen, smiling, holding a cup of latte art. In the photo's caption, Jared had written, "Shout out to at the Curious Canvas for the perfect birthday gift. Thanks, babe, for making my day." And beneath that, Jared had tagged what must be his girlfriend's handle. My chest tightened. My mouth went dry. I tapped the story to see full screen. There it was, clear as day, my design, the delicate fern pattern peeking from the tote. The woman reposted the same story. Obligatory B-Day appreciation for this genius gift hash, sustainable fashion. I stared at the phone, mind racing. Jared, the guy who'd mocked my store as amateurish, a waste of time, was not only carrying my product, but flaunting it on social media to his new girlfriend's followers. And his girlfriend, whoever she was, seemed genuinely smitten by it. The same design that I'd painstakingly hand-printed, shipped, and promoted. A volley of emotions washed over me, hurt, anger, bewilderment. And beneath it all, a spark of possibility. If Jared's girlfriend and her network were that into the tote, what about other people like them? I slid my finger to the right to reply to her story, but then stopped. I didn't want to come across as petty thanks. Felt wrong. Zara fast-timed me almost immediately after I texted her the screenshot. She flashed that trademark grin on her little screen. "OMG, he's wearing your tote, just like that?" Yeah, my voice cracked. "He mocked me, Zara, then he buys one, well, his girlfriend buys him one and tags it like it's his idea." She laughed, warm and triumphant. "Welcome to free marketing, you just got promoted by the one who said you'd never be anything." I rubbed my temples. I don't know whether to be mad or grateful. "Both," Zara said. "But mostly grateful, and strategic." She leaned closer to the camera. "We need to capitalize on this. Screenshot story, repost it to your feed. Say something witty. Drive followers to the store." My heart pounded. I thought of my little Shopify dashboard, the daily sales graph, with its modest but steady incline. Maybe it could spike again. But I also thought of Jared, my old friend turned reluctant advertiser, and I felt a flicker of something else, vindication. I tapped Save Story, then switched to the Instagram app's Create Post screen. I selected the screenshot of Jared and his girlfriend, my tote on full display. In the caption box, I hesitated, then typed, "They said I'd never make it." Then someone tagged my tote as the perfect birthday surprise. To thank you at City Grind Coffee Mill for the love, and to at the girlfriend handle for rocking the Fern and Flourish tote like a boss. Ready to join the movement? Tap link in bio. #small business #shops, small #eco-friendly #. The curious canvas. I exhaled and tapped share. Almost instantly, notifications flooded in, hearts, comments, new follows, messages like "love seeing this," "bought too," "you go girl." I grinned so wide my cheeks hurt. I screenshotted the surge of engagement, then texted Zara, "It's popping off. This could be huge." That night, as I packed orders, I found myself humming. My studio apartment smelled of ink and cardboard. The record player spun a Billie Holiday vinyl, the needle crackling with warmth. I thought of Jared's story, of how his offhand mockery had turned into a gift, literally and figuratively. Yet I couldn't shake a pinch of sadness at how easily he'd underestimated me. I realized this was a turning point. If I leaned into the narrative of the girl who got laughed at, then vindicated, it could resonate. People love a comeback story. I sat at my desk and pulled out my sketchbook, jotting ideas for a new design. Laugh last, an illustration of a snake devouring a laughing mouth, playful yet bold. And perhaps a tagline: "She who laughs last, prints best." I sketched rough lines, thinking of marketing copy that leaned into the irony. As midnight approached, I tallied the day's sales, 36 new orders, half of them for the Fern and Flourish tote. My usual daily average was 6. My pulse raced. By morning, I'd need to reorder supplies, more organic cotton, extra ink, perhaps even hire temporary help for fulfillment. I closed my laptop and lay back, the city's lights shimmering through my window. In the quiet, I whispered to myself, "They laughed at me, now they're wearing me." And as sleep pulled me under, I realized part one of this story had reached its turning point. The mocking laughter had given way to unexpected endorsement. Now, equipped with revenge-tinged creativity and a burgeoning audience, I was ready to turn that spark into a blaze. The next morning, sunlight filtered through my curtains, just as my phone began its familiar barrage of pings. I blinked awake, heart still racing from the day before's surge, and reached for the device. 17 emails marked new order, a dozen DMs asking if Laugh Last design would drop soon, a handful of tagged stories, each one another testament to how far Fern and Flourish had come in 24 hours. My kitchen table was already strewn with packing materials and half-printed tote samples. The air smelled of fresh cardboard, ink, and possibility. I rolled out of bed, splashed cold water on my face, and changed into the Laugh Last sample tee I'd sketched in my journal. It was rough around the edges, the snake's curves needed refining, but wearing it made me feel fierce, ready. I brewed coffee, sat at my desk, and opened my to-do list. First, reorder cotton. Second, refine the Laugh Last artwork. Third, message Zara and Aisha to set today's fulfillment plan. Fourth, reach out to that boutique in Portland that DM'd about carrying my bags in-store. As I typed the reorder request to my supplier, my laptop pinged with a Slack notification from Aisha. "Morning, I see 48 new orders. Should I pull in Marco's this afternoon?" I grinned and tapped back. "Yes, please. Let's get everyone on deck. And could you draft an announcement for the Laugh Last pre-order? We can ride the Jared wave for a couple more days." Within minutes, Zara's FaceTime popped in. She welcomed me with her usual bright grin. "Okay, we need a plan. I've drafted a social media calendar for the next fortnight, tease the new design, spotlight customer photos, run a giveaway for Laugh Last prototypes. What do you think?" I turned the screen so she could peek at my bustling mailer station. "Perfect. And let's tie it to Valentine's Day. Laugh Last could be the anti-love anthem for anyone tired of cliché gifts." She laughed. "I knew you'd make it a holiday campaign." We high-fived through the screen. By 10 a.m., the apartment felt like a small army base. Zara printed stickers that read, "I tell my ex I'm sorry, just kidding," for the first 20 Laugh Last pre-orders. I fine-tuned the snake's head, so it looked more sly than menacing, then exported high-resolution PNGs. Aisha configured the Shopify app for pre-orders, set a cutoff date of February 10th, and slotted in discount codes for early birds. Marcos arrived mid-morning, cheerful and ready, and started boxing yesterday's orders for shipment. As we worked, I thought back to Jared's birthday post. Part of me wanted to message him directly, half to gloat, half to reclaim closure. But I knew better. My energy was better spent on creation and strategy than on warding off old ghosts. Besides, the echo of his mocking laugh had already been drowned out by hundreds of genuine thank you notes from real customers. That felt infinitely sweeter. By lunchtime, the shipping pile had dwindled to just 5 orders. Zara and I ordered salads from the corner deli and shared them at my work table. "You okay?" she asked between bites. "You seem different." I traced the edge of a packing slip. "Numb in a good way. I keep waiting for the bottom to drop out. Like, what if the spike ends and sales tank?" I pressed my lips together. "What if this was just a fluke?" She leaned forward. "Maybe, maybe not. But you're thinking like an entrepreneur now, anticipating downturns, preparing contingencies. That's growth." She pointed at my laptop. "And look, 400 people RSVP'd for the giveaway. People want community, stories, a brand that feels alive. You've given them that." I exhaled, tension easing. That evening, I sat down with my sketchbook and a cup of mint tea. I needed to translate the day's momentum into creative fuel. Across 2 pages, I refined Laugh Last, adjusted line weights, added curly details to the snake's tail. In the margins, I doodled campaign slogans. "Don't cry over spilled ink. Tears won't stain these totes. The one who laughs last went shopping first. I circled my favorite and made a note, launch March 1st with mini zine of snarky design quotes. My pen felt like a conductor's baton, orchestrating the next movement. A notification buzzed, a DM from at Portland Emma, the boutique owner. She wrote, "I love your energy. Would you like to curate a Valentine's pop-up at our shop next month? We'd feature Laugh Last and a selection of your enamel pins." I sat back, heart pounding. This was the wholesale reach I dreamed of: real retail space, real foot traffic, real partnership. I replied immediately, yes, I'd be honored. I messaged Zara, boutique in Portland wants a pop-up. She whooped, I'm booking my flight. 3 weeks later, I found myself boarding a red-eye for Portland, armed with 200 tote bags, a trunk full of pins, and a heart brimming with excitement. Zara flew in from LA to help set up. We turned Emma's airy shop into a mini wonderland of sarcasm and botanical prints, tote racks draped with twinkling lights, enamel pin boards shaped like bursting hearts, a hand-lettered sign reading "Love's overrated, but shopping isn't." The opening night felt surreal. Emma had invited local press, influencers, and store regulars. A live guitarist strummed a moody indie tune in the corner. Zara manned the checkout, and I greeted each visitor, sharing the backstory, how I'd been laughed at, how I'd harnessed that mockery into art, and how Laugh Last celebrated resilience. Customers nodded, smiles flickering as they read the designs on display. Many confessed they too had been underestimated, and they found solace in snarky slogans printed on fabric. By the end of the event, we'd sold through half the inventory. Even more exciting, Emma offered to carry the full Laugh Last line through the season, and placed a reorder for the standard botanical totes too. I hugged her, eyes misty. Thank you for believing in it. She winked, I believe in people who think differently. As Zara and I debriefed over gelato on a street corner, I realized this was more than a flash-in-the-pan success. It was evidence that authentic connection, storytelling rooted in real emotion, could cut through noise. From Jared's mocking laughter to an entire community of buyers who laughed with me, not at me, the journey felt profoundly human. Back home, I dove straight into scaling operations. I hired an on-demand warehouse service that could handle growing inventory and shipping, so I wouldn't spend nights boxing parcels. I integrated a CRM that tagged repeat customers for exclusive early access offers. I expanded my network of freelance designers to rotate fresh ideas through the monthly Snark series, limited-run tote designs that played off current events, pop culture bites, or seasonal themes. March arrived, and with it a flawless launch of Laugh Last. I'd pre-sold 150 units, shipped 300 more in another wave, and topped 500 sales before the official release date. I'd also crafted a mini zine, an 8-page booklet of my favorite design quips. Helvetica is a temperamental diva, kerning the art of separation anxiety, packaged free with every order over $50. Customers posted unboxing videos, giddy with delight at the unexpected treat. One evening, I stirred a pot of marinara for dinner and idly scrolled Instagram. A story from @sustainable_chic popped up, a video of the influencer's doorstep, a pile of curious canvas boxes waiting in the rain. She unwrapped them on screen, showing off the Laugh Last design, then held the zine up. You guys, these little booklets are genius. Check her page. I let out an involuntary cheer, sauce spoon clattering into the pan, but success always brings its own trials. A week later, I received a plaintive email from a customer complaining that her tote's color had faded after one wash. I felt a surge of panic. Color fastness had been one of my top priorities. I'd negotiated specialized pigment with my printer, but here was proof that perfection is elusive. I apologized, offered a replacement, and asked her to send photos so I could diagnose the issue. As replies trickled in, I realized it was a single bad batch from the printer. I immediately halted production, ordered a reprint, and issued a notice to all customers who'd received bags during that window. We detected a quality issue with the Laugh Last green ink. If your bag shows signs of fading, we'll replace or refund it, no questions asked. A flood of gratitude arrived. Thank you for transparency. Quality control is why we shop small. You've earned a lifetime customer. Though nerve-wracking, the hiccup reinforced the value of trust and responsive customer care. Within 2 months, Curious Canvas had grown from a one-woman show to a small team of 4, me as founder and creative director, Aisha handling operations and marketing, Zara as lead designer consultant, and Marcos managing customer care. We met weekly on Zoom, brainstorming new partnerships, a collaboration with a fair trade coffee brand for reusable tote combos, a custom Valentine's capsule for a local chocolatier, and a pop-up at an indie festival in Austin. One Sunday afternoon, I slipped on my first Laugh Last prototype, walked into our new co-working studio, and felt a surge of fulfillment. Sunlight danced across rows of printed bags, racks of enamel pins, and neatly stacked zines. Zipped filing cabinets held contract copies with boutiques and wholesale accounts. A whiteboard displayed our Q2 goals: expand to 5 retail locations, reach $50K in monthly revenue, launch the first Snark Series Club subscription. I looked at my reflection in the studio's glass wall, smudges of ink on my jeans, smudged eyeliner from yesterday's photo shoot, undimmed determination in my eyes. I remembered Jared's dismissive laugh, how it once felled me like a punch to the gut. Now that same echo propelled me forward. I'd turned mockery into momentum, rejection into relevance. In the corner, Zoe, our newest hire, and a brilliant illustrator, unveiled a new artwork, a cheeky anatomical heart with a banner reading, "My heart's not for you." We all gasped and laughed. It was perfect for the next Snark Series drop. I felt my pulse quicken, mind already spinning on marketing angles and launch timelines. Turning back to my desk, I tapped a quick note to the team. "Love this. Let's finalize by Thursday and start social teasers Monday. Who's in for a Valentine's bullhorn campaign?" A flurry of enthusiastic emojis confirmed the plan. And as I sat there, surrounded by my makeshift empire of totes, pins, and zines, I whispered to myself. They laughed when I opened my store, then tagged my products to show their love. But I'm the one who's truly in on the joke, and it's only going to get louder. Whether it's one tote bag or 1,000, one design or a dozen, my story and the stories of every creator proved that being underestimated can be the spark that ignites a blaze. And as we scale, expand, and evolve, that spark burns brighter, fueled by every laugh, every tag, every hand-printed line. Here's to the next chapter, one where the only laughter that matters is our own.